Welcome to Plugin. Today is episode 23, and our guest today is Mike Munzing.
Hey.
Welcome.
Thank you, Avi. Good to be here.
Yes, sir. I love to have you on the show. Every time we are here, we talk about a lot of things. But let me just add that you are the Aliso Viejo councilman and mayor pro tem.
For this year, hoping mayor will be next year, but we'll see how that goes. If I behave this year, maybe I'll be mayor next year.
I know you like politics because you are up to your ears with politics.
You know,
so.
it all stemmed from being in the mortgage industry 27 years now.
Okay.
And when the collapse came back in, 07, 08?
Something like that. It actually started at 06.
06, yeah. I saw it coming. I've been talking about it for a long time. And then the mortgage brokers were to blame for the whole thing. And I was one of the ones that said that the government was definitely a big part of the problem.
The mortgage brokers just took advantage of the window that the politicians opened.
Absolutely. And we didn't lend our own money, but a lot of bad brokers are doing a lot of bad things. But the government and
it's like you bring a Brinks
banks.
truck in the middle of the city and you keep it open and the money's showing. Everybody going to
so that got me real active. I saw the government doing a lot of bad things, and I said, I need to get involved here. I've always been passionate about that, but finally got very involved.
Okay, but this all happened on Bush watch.
Yeah, well, it happened well before that.
Yeah, but the collapse
of
and
course.
the
And
demise of...
Everybody was to blame. When you had George Bush saying, I never could have seen that coming, I was like, I've been talking about it for 5-6 years.
And Greenspan kept saying it's frothy.
Everybody was to blame.
So, okay, how's this transpired to get you to become a councilman? I know I saw your posters.
What happened was I got more involved in that whole crazy Tea Party movement that was great. Just a bunch of people saying, leave us alone and stop doing the stuff you're doing. And that led on to me getting elected to the local 73rd Assembly District for the Republican Party.
Okay.
Because that's who I'd been affiliated with.
Okay.
And seeing a lot more good and the bad and the ugly on both sides now, but I'm still on the executive board of the local party as well as the state party. I'm on the state delegate as well. But that led to me running for local city council.
Okay.
I saw them doing some things that I didn't approve of and just got very involved.
Are you inspiring for bigger, higher office?
What you find is that there has to be an office to run for.
Okay.
And that's the tricky part, is that good friend of mine, Bill Bro, won the assembly seat this last election, and he may well have that for 12 years.
Okay.
So that's the assembly. That would be the logical next step. State senator, Pat Bates just got that.
Okay.
I don't know how long Pat's going to be around for that. So
what about governor? I mean,
probably not governor.
Southern California, it's mostly
that's
conservatives.
Of course. That's why I'm at home down here. But Northern California is still part of the process. So I'm potentially looking at Congress with Congressman Rohrabacher.
Okay.
And at one point, he's saying at one point he'll retire. But if he doesn't retire, I don't run against him. He's a good friend.
Okay.
But at some point, he's.
Are we ever going
60s.
to set this and kind of work this government because it's paralyzed by all the gimmicks?
I think it's been definitely more. What's the word for it? Yeah, it's polarized. Is the best word for it.
And disorganized. And
it's very well, but in a way that's good because that keeps the government from doing too much. I'm a less is more guy when it comes to the government.
But how is it beneficial to the public when we have bills that can benefit the public? It's sitting there idle.
Well, we do and we don't, though. We've got bills that it's going to benefit one person, it hurts another person.
Okay.
And right now, I'm more of a keep the laws simple. I tell my city when they ask me, well, what's your views? What's your big goals for the city? I said, I want to keep the streets safe. I want to keep them well paved, well lit. I want to keep everybody safe so you can live your own lives and run your own business. Well, that's what
government should be.
Yeah.
I mean, taking the infrastructure, keeping it up, but as you know, that's not what.
Yeah, I sit on regional boards that I don't believe should exist. There's one called, if the folks want to look up, Southern California Association of Governments, SCAG, and there's acronyms everywhere, SCAG and ABAG and SANDAG and SANDBAG, and every group, every area is being literally run by a regional board.
Is it paid appointment?
Well, if you go, no, not really. You show up and they I think it's $100 to show up for a day or something. It's to cover your travel and your driving.
Yeah.
But the thing is, these groups are coming up with new rules and new laws and new regulations, not going to help anybody. They're not targeted to help people. They're targeted to help the globe from not melting down from global warming. It's all.
Well, we do have something happening to the environment. I mean, we can't deny that.
Yeah, I actually.
We are in drought.
But there's been droughts in the past, and there's droughts in the future.
Yes, but we didn't have 35 million people living in the state when we had droughts.
Well, but they still had droughts. So
yeah, but it was less severe because we used less water. But we have more people.
Well, what we need to focus on, as you know, you and I are common sense guys. We've been friends for closing on 20 years.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, if you have a drought, you build bigger dams and you save more water and you think ahead. And these environmental groups are tearing down dams. They're tearing down water storage because they believe they need to bring it back to they call it rewilding.
Okay.
They want to rewild California for the little animals. But as you said, we've got millions and millions and millions of people living here. That is going to be a problem for the people.
Well, it's not only, listen, I understand your point that environmental cannot be changed, or we cannot change the environment or the global atmosphere with only few. But the total population, the Earth never had 7.5 billion people with 2-3 billion cars and smokestacks and all this. So we are putting more crap into the atmosphere.
But they're saying we're putting carbon dioxide.
Okay.
And I'm carbon dioxide that's the chemical of life. We could use twice the carbon dioxide we have
but
right
we
now.
put a lot of greenhouse
gases
gases
are good too.
But it's reflecting more heat. And the fact is that we had major storms in the East Coast. It doesn't mean that we are out of the woods, that it's global cooling. We are, the environment, the atmosphere is shifting. The temperatures are warming up.
Technically, that's funny. Technically, they haven't warmed in almost 18 years. And that's on a global level.
They said 2014 was one of the warmest in
that's what they said.
History.
And they had no facts to back it up.
Okay.
They were just saying that. But
so how would your facts are more accurate than theirs?
Well, because I mean, they're just not using facts. They're just they say it and nobody calls them on it. So I was this last July, I was at the 9th International Conference on Climate Change with nearly 900 scientists that basically contradict all the stuff that the media. Well, let me tell you why they're doing that.
Okay.
It's the government at all levels likes to control and regulate.
Okay.
And if they don't create some hype and some fear, they do that through fear and through everybody feeling wonderful about this little religion called global warming. And that's way they can get people behind their programs and to roll over. And otherwise we wouldn't be.
How do you describe then the seals that they are picking from the starving seals on the California coast?
Well, let's
from like 10 to 1,200.
I haven't been following the seals. I have been following the polar bears.
Okay.
Because they keep talking about the polar bears, and I saw that Nissan Leaf commercial where they have the little polar bears and they hug you or something. Yeah, they don't do that. They eat you. But in the last 25 years, polar bears have increased by about 5-fold. So they've increased the population of the polar bears, increased almost 5 times.
Is it because we're not shooting them and killing them?
Well, we've protected so much land, and I don't think we ever really hunted that many polar bears unless they were a big problem. But I mean, I'm not talking about the Eskimos, but I think those are mainly whales, and the baby seals, which was a bad thing.
Yeah.
But no, the real numbers are out there. The real important item is the unemployment levels and our workforce, and the food stamps going up from in the 20 million people to in the mid 40 million
what's the
people.
difference between the food stamps and all the corporate welfares that we given them? Corporate tax and incentives and contracts.
They're tax benefit. We've all had tax write-offs and such. I mean, you say
but
big oil just has a tax write-off to R&D. People get development write-offs like every other industry.
Okay.
But I bring up Solyndra.
Okay.
Solyndra is where the government flat out gave them $500 million
Okay.
And then but knowing they were going to fail from the get-go.
I don't know if they took the money just to fail, but there's defense programs that went to corporations and nothing came out of it.
I call that cronyism. that's and it comes out on both sides. Once again, I'm not here to defend Republicans. I'm here to defend common sense. They've got the government shutting down.
That's what they don't have.
Yeah, the government exactly, and the government is shutting down the A-10 program. I love that plane, that Warthog. That's a beautiful ground cover plane, and they want to build up a $1 billion program for another plane when this one does the great job.
Yesterday, I heard that there's like a $2-3 billion worth of tanks that's getting rusted in the middle of the desert.
Or how about giving the MRAPs and the military vehicles to our local law enforcement? I've got a huge problem with that.
Militarizing the police.
I think I'm a pretty big Second Amendment guy.
Yes.
And a lot of that is, it's fun to hunt and fish and do that. But also when you've got a lot of groups out there, when the government's giving our local law enforcement groups heavy armed military vehicles, I get a little
But that's part of the whole Homeland Security
how many
crazy spending programs.
And the airports, do we all like being patted down and x-rayed? I don't like being that x-rayed at the airports when we've got an open southern border.
Exactly.
And open northern border. Those Canadians are trouble, I tell you. But
it's the only, I think it's in Israel, they have more terrorist threats and all this.
Oh.
You don't take your shoes down. You don't take your belt. They have a
because
system.
they're fantastic. They do the interview. They profile.
They profile. They walk around and check
honestly,
you out.
and I'm one of those guys. I'm going on record. I've said it before. I don't have a huge problem with profiling. In that if middle-aged blonde guys like me were causing all kinds of trouble, I'd say, pull me aside every day and talk to me because I'll be going after those guys too.
I think in one hand we're trying not to profile because we don't want to pick one specific group, but if the specific group giving you a problem, you pick them out.
If there's one group that can't play well in the sandbox with everybody else,
take them out.
You got to take them out. You got to not take them out, but at least question them and make sure that their motives are pure.
Yes, I agree 100%. Well, we are out of time for this segment, and we will be back